My name is Michael Harrison, and I'm 71 years old. The story I'm about to tell you happened 3 years ago, but I remember every detail as if it were yesterday. Some moments in life are so sharp, so defining, that they cut through time itself, leaving scars that never quite fade. It was a Thursday evening in September when I came home early from what was supposed to be a week-long business trip to Seattle. I'd been attending a technology conference. Even at 68, I was still running my software consulting firm, too stubborn or too afraid to retire. The truth was, work kept me moving, kept me from thinking too much about the quiet that waited at home. The conference had ended 2 days early when the main sponsor pulled out due to some corporate scandal. Most attendees were annoyed. I was delighted. It meant I could surprise Jennifer, my wife of 41 years, with the anniversary gift I'd been hiding in my hotel room, a first edition of Pride and Prejudice I'd found at an antiquarian book dealer in Pike Place Market. She'd been collecting Austen for decades, and this would be the crown jewel of her collection. The flight home was smooth, giving me time to imagine her face when she saw the book. Jennifer had always been the reader in our relationship, devouring novels while I decoded programming languages. "We speak different dialects of the same language," she used to say. "Yours is logic, mine is emotion, but both tell stories." I texted her that morning about how boring the conference was, complaining about the weak coffee and uncomfortable chairs. She'd responded with, "Poor baby. Only 2 more days. I'm having dinner with book club tonight. Love you." That was Jennifer, always busy with her book clubs, charity committees, yoga classes. At 66, she had more energy than women half her age. It was one of the things I'd always loved about her, even if it meant we were like ships passing in the night sometimes. The Uber driver dropped me at our house in Maple Grove just after 8 p.m. The sun was setting, painting our colonial-style home in shades of gold and amber. We bought this house 30 years ago when our son David was in high school, and our daughter Emma was starting middle school. Too big for us now that the kids were grown with families of their own, but Jennifer loved the gardens, and I loved the workshop in the garage where I restored vintage computers. Yes, I'm that kind of nerd. I noticed the strange car immediately, a silver Audi A7, maybe 2 years old, parked in our driveway at an angle that suggested the driver had been in a hurry. Minnesota plates, but not one I recognized. My first thought was innocent enough. Perhaps someone from Jennifer's book club had gotten a new car. They were always upgrading something: cars, kitchens, husbands, through divorce, not murder, though sometimes I wondered if they considered both options. I grabbed my suitcase and a carefully wrapped book from the trunk of the Uber, tipping the driver generously because I was in such a good mood. 41 years of marriage. We made it longer than any of our friends, through teenage rebellions, college tuitions, my mother's dementia, Jennifer's father's long battle with cancer. We were survivors, Jennifer and I, warriors of the mundane, champions of the long haul. The front door was unlocked, which was unusual. Jennifer was paranoid about security ever since the Hendersons had been robbed 2 years ago. I pushed it open, calling out, "Honey, I'm home. Conference ended early." No response. But I heard something. Laughter. Jennifer's distinctive laugh, the one that started as a giggle and cascaded into something fuller, richer. It was coming from upstairs. From our bedroom. And there was another voice. Deep. Male. Also laughing. I stood frozen in our foyer, my brain trying to process inputs that didn't compute. Jennifer. A man. Our bedroom. Laughter. The equation was simple, but my mind kept rejecting the sum. Maybe it was David. Maybe our son had surprised her with a visit. But David lived in California, and he always told me when he was coming home. Besides, that wasn't David's laugh. I knew my son's laugh. I'd taught him to laugh, tickling him until he squealed when he was 3, telling him terrible dad jokes until he groaned and chuckled despite himself as a teenager. I set my suitcase down carefully, silently. The wrapped book was still in my hands, $3,000 worth of 19th century literature that suddenly felt as heavy as a stone. Each step on our hardwood stairs was a negotiation with physics. How to ascend without making a sound, how to breathe without gasping, how to exist in a space between before and after. The bedroom door was ajar. Through the crack, I could see movement. Shadows playing on the wall. The antique mirror on Jennifer's dresser, the one her grandmother had left her, reflecting fragments of a scene my eyes refused to assemble into meaning. Then I heard her say his name. Oh, Marcus. Marcus. Marcus Brennan. Her personal trainer from the gym. 38 years old, divorced, father of 2. I knew because Jennifer had told me all about him, how he was helping her with her strength and flexibility. She'd lost 15 pounds in the last 6 months, bought new clothes, started wearing perfume again. I'd been so proud of her, so happy to see her confidence blooming in what she called her third act. The gift slipped from my hands. The book hit the hardwood floor with a crack like a gunshot. The voices inside stopped. There was a scramble, cursing, the sound of something falling. Probably the lamp on my nightstand, the one I used for late-night reading. I opened the door. Time has a way of stretching in moments of trauma. I've read it's an evolutionary response, our brains speeding up to process threats, to give us more time to react to danger. But this wasn't a saber-toothed tiger or a charging mammoth. This was my wife of 41 years, naked except for a sheet hastily pulled around her, her face flushed not with shame, but with annoyance at the interruption. And Marcus, struggling into his jeans, his chest still bare, revealing the kind of abs I hadn't seen on myself since the Carter administration. "Michael!" Jennifer gasped. "You're supposed to be in Seattle." Supposed to be. As if I was the one in the wrong place. "I came home early," I said, surprised by how calm my voice sounded. "To surprise you." Marcus had the decency to look terrified. "Mr. Harrison, this isn't. Please put your shirt on and leave my house," I said quietly. "Now." He grabbed his shirt, his shoes, didn't even bother to put them on, just ran past me and down the stairs. I heard the front door slam, his Audi starting, tires squealing as he fled like the coward he was. Jennifer and I stood there, looking at each other across a distance that couldn't be measured in feet. She was still beautiful, her silver hair catching the light from the hallway, her green eyes that had captured me at a college party in 1978 now looking at me with something between defiance and pity. "How long?" I asked. "Does it matter?" "Yes." She sighed, pulling the sheet tighter. 4 months. 4 months. Spring into summer into fall. A whole season of deception while I traveled for business, attended conferences, trusted her completely. Why? She looked at me with something that might have been sadness or might have been relief. Because I've been dead for 20 years, Michael, and Marcus made me feel alive. Dead for 20 years? The words came out strangled, disbelieving. What are you talking about? We have a life, Jennifer. We have children, grandchildren, a home. We have a routine. She interrupted, sitting on the edge of our bed, still wrapped in the sheet that smelled like another man's cologne. We have scheduled dinners and predictable conversations and sex every other Sunday if we're not too tired. So you decided to have an affair? That was your solution. I didn't decide anything. It just happened. Nothing just happens, Jennifer. You made choices. Every text, every meeting, every time you came to this bed with him, those were all choices. She laughed, but it wasn't the warm laugh from earlier. This was bitter sharp. You want to talk about choices? Let's talk about your choice to work 70-hour weeks for the past 30 years. Your choice to spend weekends in your workshop with your computers instead of with me. Your choice to treat our marriage like a successfully running program that didn't need any updates or maintenance. That's not fair. Everything I did was for us, for our family. No, everything you did was for you. For your company, your reputation, your sense of being needed. When was the last time you really looked at me, Michael? Not just glanced up from your laptop to ask what's for dinner, but really looked at me. I wanted to answer, to defend myself, but the truth was I couldn't remember. When had Jennifer's hair gone completely silver? When had those lines around her eyes deepened? When had she started wearing different perfume? 4 months ago. She continued. Marcus looked at me. He saw me. Not as someone's mother or someone's wife or the lady who organizes the library fundraiser. He saw Jennifer. Just Jennifer. And I remembered who that was. And who is Jennifer? I asked, hearing the sarcasm in my voice and hating it. A woman who betrays 41 years of marriage for abs and attention. Her face hardened. Yes. Apparently, that's exactly who I am. Someone who wanted to feel desired before I died. Someone who wanted passion instead of partnership, adventure instead of stability. Someone who wanted to be touched by hands that trembled with want, not just reached for out of habit. Each word was a calculated blow, designed to hurt. And they did. God, they did. I loved you, I said quietly. Loved. Past tense. See, you're already adjusting. I love you, I corrected, though the present tense felt like a lie now. Despite this. Despite him. I still love the woman I married. The woman you married doesn't exist anymore, Michael. She died sometime between David's college graduation and Emma's wedding. Maybe earlier. I've just been going through the motions, playing the part of the dutiful wife while inside I was screaming. You could have talked to me. We could have gone to counseling. Counseling? She stood up, dropping the sheet, reaching for her robe with no shame, no modesty. When had my wife become a stranger? I suggested counseling 5 years ago. You said we didn't need it, that we were fine. I bought books about reinvigorating marriage. You used them as coasters for your coffee mug. I planned romantic getaways. You brought your laptop. The worst part was she was right. I remembered those things now, filed away in my mind under Jennifer's phases. Along with her brief obsession with pottery, and that month she decided we should go vegan. So your solution was Marcus? A man young enough to be your son? He's 38, not 18. And yes, my solution was someone who made me feel like I wasn't invisible. Someone who noticed when I wore a new dress or tried a different lipstick. Someone who asked about my dreams, not just my dinner plans. I'm sorry, I said, the words inadequate but true. I'm sorry I made you feel invisible. But that doesn't justify. I'm not asking for justification. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm just telling you the truth. I left the bedroom, I couldn't think of it as our bedroom anymore, and went downstairs. The first edition Austen lay on the floor where I dropped it, the wrapping paper torn from the fall. $3,000 worth of romantic literature, bought to celebrate a romance that had apparently been dead for years. The irony wasn't lost on me. I picked it up, examined it for damage. The spine was intact, the pages unmarred. It had survived the fall better than my marriage. Jennifer came downstairs an hour later, fully dressed in jeans and a sweater I didn't recognize. When had she bought that? How many things in our life had I failed to notice? I'll stay at Miranda's tonight, she said, mentioning her sister who lived across town. No, I said. This is your house too. I'll go to a hotel. Michael. I need to think, Jennifer. I need to. I don't know what I need. But I can't do it here. Not with the bed still warm from him. She flinched at that, the first sign of shame I'd seen. Where will you go? Does it matter? I threw her own words back at her. I packed a bag, enough for a few days, while she sat in the living room. As I passed through on my way to the garage, she called out. Michael? The book. The one you dropped. Was it for me? I stopped but didn't turn around. First edition Pride and Prejudice. For our anniversary. But I suppose you've already had your gift. I heard her sob as I closed the door, but I didn't go back. The Marriott downtown had rooms available. The desk clerk, a young woman named Ashley, was professionally cheerful as she checked me in. Business or pleasure? She asked automatically. Neither, I replied, and her smile faltered. The room was sterile, anonymous. Exactly what I needed. I sat on the bed and called David in California. Dad? It's late there. Everything okay? How do you tell your son that his mother, the woman who baked cookies for his school fundraisers and cheered at every Little League game, had been having an affair? Your mother and I are having some problems, I said carefully. What kind of problems? The kind that might lead to divorce. Silence on the line. Then, Dad, what happened? Asked your mother. I can't talk about it right now. Dad, I'm at the downtown Marriott. Room 1247 if you need me. Don't tell your mother where I am. Please. Jesus, Dad? Okay. I'll call Emma. No. Let me tell her. Just give me some time. After I hung up, I lay on the hotel bed fully clothed, staring at the ceiling, trying to understand how I'd gotten here. This morning I'd been a happily married man flying home to surprise his wife. Tonight I was alone in a hotel room, my life in ruins. My phone buzzed. Jennifer. I'm sorry you had to find out that way. Not sorry for the affair. Sorry for how I found out. I didn't respond. Another text. We need to talk about what happens next. What happened next? Divorce, presumably. Division of assets. Selling the house. Explaining to friends why the couple they'd all envied for lasting so long had suddenly imploded. I turned off my phone and closed my eyes, but sleep wouldn't come. Instead, I saw them together in our bed, heard her laugh, saw her face, not ashamed but annoyed that I'd interrupted. 20 years, she'd said. She'd been dead for 20 years. Had I been dead too? The next morning brought no clarity, only a headache and the realization that I'd have to face reality eventually. I turned on my phone to find 17 missed calls, Jennifer, David, Emma, so David had told her anyway, and surprisingly, Marcus. Marcus had left a voicemail. Mr. Harrison, I know I have no right to ask, but please call me. There's something you need to know. I deleted it without listening to the rest. What could he possibly have to tell me that I needed to know? The positions they preferred? The pet names they called each other? Emma called while I was drinking terrible hotel coffee. Dad? David told me. Are you okay? No, I said honestly. Do you want me to fly out? Tom can watch the kids. No, sweetheart. I'm fine. I just need time to process. David said it was an affair. Mom had an affair? The disbelief in her voice broke my heart. She'd idolized Jennifer, patterned her own marriage after ours. The successful template, she'd called us. Yes. Who? Her trainer. Marcus. That son of a bitch. I knew something was off about him. The way he looked at her. You knew? The words came out sharper than intended. Not knew. Just, he was always too friendly, too interested. I mentioned it to Mom once, and she laughed it off, said I was being paranoid. How many people had seen what I'd missed? How many had noticed the looks, the changes, the signs that I'd been too busy or too trusting to see? After Emma hung up, I sat in the hotel room trying to decide what to do. I couldn't hide forever, but I wasn't ready to face Jennifer either. Finally, I did what I always did when lost. I went to work. My office was a sanctuary of familiar problems with logical solutions. Code had bugs that could be fixed. Systems had inefficiencies that could be optimized. Nothing in software development involved emotions or betrayal, or the collapse of everything you thought was stable. But Linda, my business partner of 15 years, took one look at me and knew something was catastrophically wrong. Michael? You look like death. Jennifer's having an affair. The words hung in the air between us. Linda sat down heavily in the chair across from my desk. Oh, Michael. I'm so sorry. Did you know? I asked, suddenly paranoid that everyone had known but me. No. God, no. I thought you two were solid. You always seemed so, together. Seemed being the operative word. We sat in silence for a moment before Linda spoke again. What are you going to do? I don't know. Divorce, I suppose? What else can I do? You could try to work it out. People do. Affairs don't always mean the end. She's been unhappy for 20 years, Linda. 20 years. That's not a rough patch. That's a failed marriage that I was too stupid to notice had failed. My phone rang. Marcus again. I declined the call. Who keeps calling? Linda asked. The other man. Marcus. He left a voicemail saying I need to know something. Maybe you should listen to it. Why? So he can apologize? Tell me it meant nothing? Or worse, tell me it meant everything? But Linda's practical nature won out. Information is power, Michael. Even painful information. Listen to the message. I played it on speaker. Mr. Harrison, I know I have no right to ask, but please call me. There's something you need to know. This wasn't Jennifer's first affair. She's done this before. Multiple times. I found out from another trainer at the gym. She had a thing with him 2 years ago, and with one of the yoga instructors before that. I thought you should know because she told me you two had an open marriage, that you knew and were okay with it. When I realized last night that wasn't true. God, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. No man deserves this. I played Marcus's message 3 more times, each repetition making the situation worse and somehow better simultaneously. Worse because Jennifer's betrayal wasn't a singular mistake but a pattern. Better because it wasn't about me specifically, it was about something broken inside her. Linda poured us both whiskey from the bottle she kept in her desk. For emergencies. Though it was barely noon. Multiple affairs. She said, shaking her head. Jesus, Michael. She told him we had an open marriage. I laughed bitterly. I can barely handle one relationship, and she's telling people I'm okay with multiple partners. You need to talk to her. With a lawyer present. I need to talk to Marcus first. Linda raised an eyebrow. That's a terrible idea. Probably. But I need to know everything. How many? Who? When? I can't move forward until I know what I'm moving forward from. I called Marcus back. He answered on the first ring. Mr. Harrison, thank you for calling me back. I'm so sorry. Stop apologizing. Just tell me what you know. Everything. We met at a coffee shop downtown, neutral territory. Marcus looked younger in daylight, wearing a Patriots hoodie and jeans instead of his gym attire. He was handsome in that conventional way, strong jaw, good hair, the kind of man who'd never been invisible to anyone. Before we start, he said, I need you to know that if I'd known the truth, I would never have. I don't break up marriages. You didn't break it up. It was apparently already broken. Just tell me what you know. Marcus pulled out his phone, showed me text messages from Jennifer. Flirty at first, then explicit. Photos I wished I could unsee. But what caught my attention were the dates. Some were from when I'd been home, in the same house, probably in the next room. The other trainer, Brad, said she pursued him pretty aggressively about 2 years ago. They had a thing for maybe 3 months before she moved on. The yoga instructor, Kenji, was before that. Maybe 3 years ago. There was also something with someone from her book club, but that's just rumor. Book club, I repeated numbly. Of course. She has a pattern, apparently. She picks someone, love bombs them with attention and availability. Then when the excitement wears off, she moves on. How long did she say we'd had this open marriage? From the beginning, she said. Said you both had agreements, rules. Said you had your own things going on during your business trips. My business trips. Where I sat in sterile hotel rooms, ordered room service, and called her every night to say goodnight. While she was constructing an entire fictional version of our marriage to justify her affairs. Why did you run last night? I asked. If you thought I knew? Marcus shifted uncomfortably. Because the look on your face. I knew immediately she'd lied. You looked like someone had ripped your heart out. Nobody who knew would look like that. We sat in silence for a moment, 2 men connected by the same woman's deception. Can I ask you something? Marcus said. Why not? Did she seem happy? With you? He considered this. In the moment? Yes. Excited, passionate, alive? But afterward? There was always this sadness. Like she was trying to fill a hole that couldn't be filled. I thought it was about your supposed arrangement, guilt maybe. But now I think it was something else. What? I think she's broken, Mr. Harrison. Something inside her is broken, and she's trying to fix it with other people's desire. But it never works, so she keeps trying. I went home that afternoon. Jennifer's car was in the driveway, but Miranda's was there too, reinforcement or referee, I wasn't sure which. They were in the kitchen, sitting at the table where our family had shared thousands of meals. Miranda stood when I entered, her face carefully neutral. Michael. Miranda. I'd say it's nice to see you, but we both know that would be a lie. Jennifer looked terrible. Her eyes were swollen from crying, her usually perfect hair unwashed and pulled back in a messy ponytail. Good, I thought, then hated myself for the pettiness. We need to talk, she said. Yes, we do. But first, Miranda needs to leave. I'm staying for Jennifer's support. This is between my wife and me. Please leave. Miranda looked at Jennifer, who nodded. After she left, we sat across from each other at the table where we'd helped kids with homework, planned vacations, discussed our days. Sacred ground, now contaminated. I talked to Marcus, I said. Her face went white. You what? He told me about the others. Brad. Kenji. The person from your book club. Who else, Jennifer? How many others? She was crying now, silent tears streaming down her face. Does it matter? Stop asking if things matter. Everything matters. Every lie, every betrayal, every time you came home to me after being with them, it all matters. 7, she whispered. 7? In how long? 15 years. 15 years. More than a third of our marriage. While I was building my business, raising our children, caring for aging parents, she'd been living a double life. Why? I asked, the question coming out as a plea. I don't know, she sobbed. I've been trying to figure it out. I start therapy, then quit. I promise myself never again, then I do it again. There's something wrong with me, Michael. Something fundamentally broken. When did it start? What changed 15 years ago? She thought about it. Emma left for college. David was already gone. It was just us, and I realized. I didn't know who I was without being someone's mother. I was 49, invisible to the world, married to a man who loved me but didn't see me. So you found men who would see you? Yes. God, yes. They looked at me like I was a whole person, not just a role. They wanted to know my thoughts, my dreams, my body. When was the last time you really wanted my body, Michael? Not just reach for it because it was Saturday night, and that's what we do. The accusation stung because again, there was truth in it. When had sex become another item on our routine? When had passion become performance? That doesn't excuse. I'm not trying to excuse it. I'm trying to explain it. I'm trying to make sense of it myself. You told them we had an open marriage. She froze. Marcus told you that? Yes. Apparently, I'd been having my own affairs during my business trips. News to me, but fascinating to hear about my fictional sex life. I had to tell them something. The truth might have been a start. The truth? The truth was that I was a middle-aged woman desperate to feel alive, cheating on a good man who deserved better. Who wants to be with that woman? Apparently 7 men. I said coldly. We sat in silence, the weight of 15 years of deception between us. What happens now? She asked finally. I don't know. Divorce, I suppose? Is that what you want? What I want is to wake up and have this be a nightmare. What I want is my wife back, the one I thought I was married to. What I want is impossible. We could try counseling. Now you want counseling? After 7 affairs? I know I have no right to ask. You're right. You don't. But even as I said it, I wondered. Was our marriage worth saving? Could trust ever be rebuilt after this level of betrayal? Or were we both too broken, in different ways, to ever be whole again? I moved back into the house but into the guest room. We were separated but cohabitating, the awkwardness of it all overwhelming. Jennifer started therapy, real therapy this time, twice a week with a specialist in sex addiction and compulsive behavior. Sex addiction? I'd asked when she told me. That's what Dr. Brennan thinks. The compulsive need for validation through sexual attention. It's like being an alcoholic, but with affairs. I wanted to mock this, to dismiss it as pop psychology excuse-making, but the pain in her eyes was real. She was trying to understand herself, maybe for the first time. David flew in from California the second weekend. Emma drove down from Chicago with her husband Tom and their 2 kids. A family summit in the house where they'd grown up, but now felt like a crime scene. Are you getting divorced? Emma asked bluntly while the kids played in the backyard. Jennifer and I looked at each other. We'd been asking ourselves the same question for 2 weeks. We don't know, I said. How can you not know? David was angry, had been since he arrived. She cheated on you. Multiple times. It's pretty clear-cut. Nothing about 41 years of marriage is clear-cut, Jennifer said quietly. Bullshit, David snapped. You made it clear-cut when you decided to sleep with half of Minneapolis. David! Emma scolded, but he was on a roll. What? We're supposed to pretend this is some gray area? She betrayed Dad, betrayed our family, betrayed everything we thought we knew about her. Jennifer absorbed each word like a physical blow. You're right. I did betray everyone. I'm not asking for forgiveness. Good, because you won't get it, David said. David, enough, I said. This is between your mother and me. No, it's not. It affects all of us. My kid's grandmother is a... Choose your next word very carefully, I warned. He stormed out to the backyard, Tom following to calm him down. Emma stayed, holding her mother's hand while Jennifer cried. Dad, Emma said carefully, what do you want? Forget about us, about what's expected, about what you should do. What do you want? I'd been asking myself the same question. Did I want revenge? To hurt Jennifer like she'd hurt me? Sometimes. Did I want to salvage our marriage? Sometimes. Did I want to run away and start over? Sometimes. I want to understand, I said finally. I want to understand how we got here, if there's a way back, and if that way back is worth taking. That night, after the kids had left, Jennifer knocked on the guest room door. Can we talk? I let her in. She sat on the edge of the bed, looking older than her 66 years. Dr. Brennan wants you to come to a session. If you're willing. Why? Because she thinks my addiction is partly about our dynamic. Not blaming you, she added quickly, but understanding the pattern, the triggers. She says addiction doesn't happen in a vacuum. So now I'm responsible for your affairs? No. I'm responsible. Completely. But our marriage, the way we disconnected, the way we became roommates instead of lovers. That created a vulnerability that the addiction exploited. I thought about this. It was easier to paint Jennifer as the villain, me as the victim. Black and white. Good and bad. But 41 years of marriage was painted in shades of gray. Dr. Brennan's office was in a restored Victorian in Uptown, all warm colors and soft lighting designed to make broken people feel safe. I sat in a leather chair across from Jennifer, Dr. Brennan between us like a referee. Michael, thank you for coming, Dr. Brennan said. She was younger than I expected, maybe 45, with kind eyes and an unsettling ability to maintain eye contact. Jennifer has told me a lot about your marriage. I'm sure she has. You're angry. That's understandable and healthy. Is it? Because I feel like it's eating me alive. Anger is a secondary emotion, she said. It's usually covering something else: hurt, fear, sadness. What do you think your anger is protecting? I wanted to give a glib answer, but something about her manner made me consider the question seriously. My dignity, maybe? If I'm angry, I don't have to feel how pathetic I am. The clueless husband who didn't notice his wife was sleeping around for 15 years. You're not pathetic, Jennifer said quietly. Please, I scoffed. Everyone knew but me. Emma suspected Marcus. The people at the gym knew. I was the joke everyone was too polite to let in on. That's not true, Jennifer. Dr. Brennan interrupted gently. Let Michael express his feelings without correction. Michael, can you tell me about your marriage before the affairs? I thought back. It was good. We were happy. Raising kids, building careers, being partners. Were you intimate? We had sex regularly. That's not what I asked. Were you intimate? Did you share emotions, fears, dreams? I started to say yes, then stopped. When had Jennifer and I last talked about something deeper than schedules and logistics? When had we last been vulnerable with each other? No, I admitted. We were efficient. We ran our family like a well-oiled machine. Jennifer, what did you need that you weren't getting? Jennifer twisted her wedding ring. She was still wearing it, I noticed. Attention. Desire. The feeling that I was more than just a function in someone's life. I wanted Michael to look at me the way he looked at a coding problem, with fascination, determination to understand, excitement about solving it. And instead, he looked at me like a solved problem. Something that worked fine and didn't need attention unless it broke. The truth of it hit me like a physical blow. She was right. I treated our marriage like legacy software, functional, reliable, not needing updates until it catastrophically failed. Michael, what did you need that you weren't getting? I didn't know I wasn't getting anything, I said. I thought we were happy. Were you happy, or were you comfortable? The question hung in the air. Had I been happy? Or had I just been unconscious, going through motions, mistaking routine for contentment? I don't know anymore, I admitted. We spent the rest of the session excavating our marriage, looking for the moment it died. But there was no single moment. It was 1,000 small neglects, tiny disconnections, accumulated indifference that killed us so slowly we didn't notice we were dying. After the session, we sat in my car in silence. That was brutal, I finally said. Yes. Do you think it helps? I don't know. Maybe understanding how we got here helps us figure out where to go. Where do you want to go, Jennifer? She looked at me, and for the first time since I'd discovered the affair, I saw the woman I'd married, vulnerable, uncertain, but real. I want to go back. To before I broke everything. But I can't. So I guess I want to go forward, to something better. Whether that's with you or without you. I don't know. I don't know either. But that night, for the first time in 3 weeks, we ate dinner together at the kitchen table. We didn't talk much, but we were in the same room, and that felt like something. A month into our strange new reality, something unexpected happened. Jennifer's father, George, had a stroke. He was 89, living in assisted care in Duluth, and the prognosis wasn't good. We drove up together in awkward silence, muscle memory putting us in the same car despite everything. The hospital was depressing in that universal hospital way: fluorescent lights, antiseptic smell, underlying current of grief and hope. George was conscious but couldn't speak. The left side of his body was paralyzed. When he saw us together, his eyes filled with tears. "Hi, Dad," Jennifer said, taking his good hand. "We're here." He looked at me, questions in his eyes he couldn't voice. He didn't know about our problems. We'd agreed not to tell him, not to add to his burdens. "Hey, George," I said, taking his other hand. "You gave us quite a scare." We spent 3 days in Duluth, taking shifts at his bedside, sleeping in the same hotel room to save money, separate beds, the divide between them feeling like an ocean. On the 3rd night, George took a turn for the worse. We were both there when he died, holding his hands, presenting a united front for a man who'd loved us both. "He was so proud when we got married," Jennifer said afterward, sitting in the hospital cafeteria over terrible coffee. "Said he knew you'd take care of me." I tried. "You did. In your way, you did. I'm the one who failed." We drove home the next day, planning a funeral neither of us had emotional energy for. But something had shifted. Facing death together, even George's death, had reminded us that we'd been partners once. Good partners. The funeral was the following week. David and Emma came, the extended family, friends from George's retirement community. Everyone assumed Jennifer and I were still solid, and we didn't correct them. We stood together at the graveside, her hand in mine for the first time in 2 months, and I remembered why I'd fallen in love with her. She was grace under pressure, strength despite fragility. That night, she knocked on the guest room door. "Can I sleep here tonight?" Not sex. I just don't want to be alone." I moved over in the bed. She climbed in, staying on her side, but I could feel her crying. "I miss him," she said. "I know. I miss us too. I know. Is there an us to miss? Or are we just pretending for everyone else? I don't know." But I put my arm around her, and she curled into me, and for one night, we weren't betrayer and betrayed. We were just two people who'd lost something, holding each other in the dark. 3 months after discovery, we were still in limbo. Jennifer continued therapy twice a week. I'd started my own therapy, trying to understand my role in our dysfunction. We ate dinners together, slept in separate rooms, existed in a state of suspended animation. Then Marcus called again. "Mr. Harrison, I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but something's happened." "What now?" "Jennifer's been texting me. A lot. Saying she misses me, wants to see me. I haven't responded, but I thought you should know." The rage that flooded through me was volcanic. After everything, the therapy, the promises, the tears, she was still reaching out to him? I confronted her that evening. "You're texting Marcus?" Her face went white. "How did you? He called you?" "Yes. The man you were sleeping with has more respect for our marriage than you do." "I haven't seen him." "But you want to. After everything, you still want to." She started crying. "I'm sick, Michael. I'm literally sick. It's like being an alcoholic and someone's dangling a drink in front of me. No one's dangling anything. You're seeking it out. I know. I hate myself for it. But the compulsion. God, you don't understand what it's like to need something so badly even when you know it'll destroy you." "Then we're done," I said. "I can't do this if you're still." I blocked his number. After I sent those texts, I blocked him. I called Dr. Brennan, had an emergency session. "I'm trying, Michael. I'm trying so hard, but recovery isn't linear." "How many others are you texting?" "None. Just him," and I stopped. I swear. I wanted to believe her. But how could I? Trust was like a shattered vase. You could glue it back together, but the cracks would always show. That night I called my lawyer. Started the divorce paperwork. But I didn't file it. Not yet. The next morning, Jennifer showed me her phone. All the numbers blocked. Her social media accounts deleted. "I'm removing temptation," she said. "All of it. Is that enough? I don't know. But it's what I can do today." We continued our strange dance. Good days where we almost felt normal, bad days where the weight of betrayal crushed any progress. The kids visited, watched us pretending to be okay, worried but unsure how to help. Then, for months after discovery, Jennifer had a breakthrough in therapy. "I figured it out," she said, coming home with eyes red from crying. "Why I did it. Why I couldn't stop. Tell me." My mother. Her mother had died when Jennifer was 12. I knew this, of course, but she'd never talked about it much. She had affairs. Multiple affairs. I found out after she died, found letters, photos. My dad never knew, or pretended not to know. But I knew. and I swore I'd never be like her. But you became exactly like her. Yes. Because somewhere deep down, I thought that's what women in my family did. We loved our families but needed more. It was programmed into me before I even understood what it was. That's an explanation, not an excuse. I know. But understanding it helps me fight it. It's not about you, Michael. It was never about you not being enough. It was about me trying to fill a hole that's been there since I was 12, watching my father grieve a woman who'd betrayed him, keeping her secret to protect him. 6 months after discovery, I had to make a choice. The divorce papers sat in my desk drawer, signed but unfiled. Jennifer had been sober for 4 months, no contact with anyone, complete transparency, therapy twice a week. She'd even started a support group for sex addiction, driving to St. Paul where no one knew her. I'm different, she said one evening. I know you might not believe it, but I'm different. She did seem different. More present, more real. The Jennifer I'd married had been a construction, I realized, always performing the role of perfect wife and mother. This Jennifer was flawed, broken in places, but authentic. I need to tell you something, I said. I had the divorce papers drawn up. She nodded. I know. I saw them in your desk. You went through my desk? No. They were on top, partially visible. Are you filing them? I don't know. We sat with that uncertainty for a moment. Can I tell you something? She asked. I've been thinking about that night. When you came home early. The gift you dropped. The Austin. You spent $3,000 on a first edition for me. After 41 years, you still wanted to surprise me, to delight me. That's extraordinary, Michael. It's just a book. No. It's proof that you still saw me, even when I thought you didn't. You saw me as someone worth surprising, worth effort, worth a grand gesture. I was so busy looking for validation from strangers that I missed the fact that you were still trying to validate me. A lot of good it did. It did do good. It showed me what I was throwing away. Not just a marriage, but a man who, after 4 decades, still wanted to make me happy. I still want to make you happy, I admitted. I hate that I do, but I do. Then maybe we try. Really try. Not just exist in the same house but actively rebuild. Dating again. Talking, really talking. Therapy together and apart. Building something new instead of trying to restore what was broken. And if you relapse? Then you file the papers. No arguments, no delays. I'll sign everything. I thought about it for a week. Talked to my therapist, to Linda, even to my brother in Florida who'd gone through his own divorce. Everyone had different opinions, but in the end, only mine mattered. Okay. I told her on a Sunday morning. We try. But my conditions. Anything. Complete transparency. Phone, email, everything. Forever, not just for now. Done. Therapy. Individual and couples. No stopping when it gets hard. Agreed. And we tell the truth. To everyone. No more pretending we're perfect. If we're going to rebuild, we do it honestly. She paled at that. Everyone? Our kids, our friends. Not details, but the truth that we're working through problems. I won't live another lie, Jennifer. Okay. You're right. No more lies. We started dating again. Awkward, formal dates like teenagers who didn't know each other. Dinner at restaurants where we struggled for conversation. Movies where we sat rigidly, afraid to touch. It was excruciating and necessary. On our 5th date, Jennifer suggested something different. Remember when we were in college? That terrible pizza place on University Avenue? Giovanni's? It's probably closed. It's not. I checked. Want to go? Giovanni's was exactly as terrible as I remembered. Fluorescent lights, torn vinyl booths, pizza that was mostly grease. But it was where we'd had our first date in 1978, 2 grad students who couldn't afford better. You ordered Hawaiian. Jennifer remembered. I thought you were insane. Pineapple on pizza? You ate 4 slices. I was trying to impress you. It worked. We laughed, and for a moment we were those kids again, before careers, before children, before betrayals. Just Michael and Jennifer, figuring each other out. I fell in love with you that night, she said suddenly. You talked about computer programming like it was poetry. Your eyes lit up. You drew flowcharts on napkins. I'd never met anyone so passionate about something I didn't understand. When did you fall out of love with me? I didn't. That's the horrible truth. I never stopped loving you. I just stopped seeing you, and stopped believing you saw me. The affairs weren't about love, they were about visibility. About feeling alive. But love? That was always you. How can you love someone and betray them so completely? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. How someone can be 2 people at once, the wife who loves you and the woman who destroyed you. Dr. Brennan says it's called compartmentalization. I became an expert at it. We started couples therapy with a different therapist, Dr. Roberts, who specialized in recovery from infidelity. He was brutal in his honesty. This might not work, he said in our first session. Statistically, marriages rarely survive multiple affairs. The trust deficit is usually insurmountable. But some do survive? Jennifer asked. Some do. The ones where both partners are willing to do the work, to change fundamentally, to build something entirely new. You can't restore your old marriage, it's dead. But you might be able to build a new one. So we tried to build. Brick by brick, conversation by conversation. Jennifer joined a more intensive therapy program. I worked on my own issues, the workaholism, the emotional unavailability, the tendency to treat relationships like problems to be solved rather than gardens to be tended. 8 months after discovery, we had sex for the first time. Awkward, emotional, nothing like the routine encounters of our marriage or, I imagined, the passionate affairs she'd had. But it was real, and it was us, and afterward, we both cried. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry for everything. I know. Can you forgive me? I'm trying. Every day I'm trying. 10 months after discovery, we hit a wall. Jennifer had been doing well, transparent, committed, present. Then I found a new email account on her phone. The rage was immediate and total. You promised. Complete transparency. It's not what you think. It never is with you. Look at it. Just look at the emails. I did. The account was for correspondence with other sex addicts from her support group. Stories of struggle, relapse, recovery. Nothing sexual, nothing inappropriate. Just broken people trying to heal. Why hide it? I asked, deflating. Because I was ashamed. These stories, these struggles, I didn't want you to see how sick I really am, how hard this is every single day. I need to see it. All of it. That was the deal. You're right. I'm sorry. No more hidden anything. But the damage was done. The fragile trust we'd built cracked. I pulled back, she sensed it, we spiraled. In therapy, Dr. Roberts called us out. You're both sabotaging this. Jennifer, you're still hiding parts of yourself. Michael, you're looking for reasons to leave. You're both 1 foot in, 1 foot out. He was right. We were hedge betting, protecting ourselves from full vulnerability. What do we do? Jennifer asked. You commit. Fully. Or you walk away. This halfway state is killing you both. That night, we sat on our deck, the first warm evening of spring, and had the hardest conversation of our marriage. Do you want this to work? I asked. More than anything. Why? She thought about it. Because you're my person, Michael. Even when I was with others, you were my person. The one I wanted to tell things to, the one whose opinion mattered, the one I was always trying to get back to even when I was running away. I don't know if I can ever fully trust you again. I know. But I also don't know how to stop loving you. I know that too. We decided to commit. Fully. No more divorce papers in drawers, no more hidden email accounts. All in or all out. We renewed our vows, not a big ceremony, just us and the kids in the backyard. No white dress, no pretense of innocence. Just promises to try to be honest, to show up even when it was hard. David still struggled with it. How can you forgive her? He asked me privately. I don't know if forgiveness is the right word. Acceptance, maybe? Acceptance that she's flawed, that I'm flawed, that our marriage is flawed, but that flawed things can still have value. That's very zen of you, Dad. That's therapy talking. Lots and lots of therapy. It's been 3 years now since I came home early with that first edition Austen. The book sits on our shelf, still in its wrapping. Neither of us can bear to open it. It's become a symbol of before and after, a monument to a moment when everything changed. Jennifer has been sober for 2.5 years. She still goes to therapy weekly, to support group twice a week. She sponsors other addicts now, helping them navigate the shame and compulsion. She's written a memoir about her experience, not for publication, just for herself, to understand her own story. I've changed too. I retired from the company, letting Linda buy me out. I spend my time differently now, woodworking, reading, actually talking to my wife. We walk every evening, around the neighborhood where we raised our children, past the park where they played, the school they attended. We talk about everything and nothing. Sometimes about the affairs, they're part of our story now, not hidden but integrated. Sometimes about grandchildren, or books, or the weather. We're different people than we were. The Michael and Jennifer who got married in 1978 are gone. So are the Michael and Jennifer who sleepwalked through 20 years of marriage. The Jennifer who had affairs and the Michael who didn't notice, they're gone too. Who we are now are two people in our 70s who've been broken and rebuilt, who've seen each other's absolute worst and chosen to stay anyway. We're not role models. I wouldn't recommend our path to anyone. But we're real in a way we never were before. Last week, Marcus came into the coffee shop where I was reading. He saw me, started to leave, but I called him over. "How are you?" I asked. "Good. I'm good. Engaged, actually. Congratulations. Mr. Harrison, I need to say again how sorry. It's done. We've all moved on. How's Jennifer?" "She's good. We're good. You stayed together?" "We did. Not the same together we had before, but together nonetheless." He seemed amazed. That's incredible. After everything." "After everything," I agreed. When I got home, I told Jennifer about the encounter. She tensed. She always tenses when his name comes up, afraid it might trigger something in her or me. "How do you feel about it?" she asked carefully. "Oddly grateful," I said, surprising myself. "If you hadn't had that affair, if I hadn't come home early, we'd still be sleepwalking. We'd have missed the chance to actually know each other." That's a generous interpretation. Maybe. Or maybe it's just true. We were dying, Jennifer. Slowly, but dying. The affair was traumatic, but trauma sometimes saves lives by forcing change. She kissed me then, really kissed me, not the perfunctory pecks of our old marriage, but something real and present. "I love you," she said. "The real you, not the idea of you." "I love you too," I said. "The whole you, even the broken parts." "Especially the broken parts?" "Especially those." Tonight, as I finish telling this story, Jennifer is in her study working on a new novel, not about affairs or betrayal, but about second chances and the courage to rebuild. I can hear her typing, occasionally laughing at something she's written. It's a good sound, a healing sound. The first edition Austen remains wrapped on our shelf, a monument to the moment everything shattered. But next to it are other books we've collected in these 3 years. Books about recovery, about addiction, about rebuilding trust. Books we've read together, discussed, argued about, learned from. Our story isn't a fairy tale. There's no happily ever after when betrayal has cut so deep. But there is after, a continuous, daily choice to show up, to be honest, to do the work. Some days are harder than others. Some days the scar tissue aches. But most days now are good. Most days we're grateful for this second act, this unexpected grace. I came home early that September evening expecting to surprise my wife with a gift. Instead, I discovered a truth that destroyed us. But from that destruction came something I never expected, the chance to truly know the woman I'd been married to for 41 years. The chance to be truly known in return. The gift of starting over at an age when most people are winding down. The gift, wrapped in pain and delivered through betrayal, of a real marriage at last.